Shri Gurubhyo Namaha, Standard 9 English Prose, The Little Girl by Catherine Mansfield, Part 2. Before we move on to Part 2, we will have a quick recap of Part 1. Kezia is a little girl growing in her loving grandma's care. Kezia has formal relationship with mother and father. She is afraid of her strict father, so she stammered while talking to him. She taught him to be a giant-sized. On Sunday, Grandma sent her to spend some time with parents just to have a nice talk with them, but Kezia always found her father stretched out on the sofa, having sound sleep, and mother busy in reading. One day, Grandma suggested her to prepare a gift for her father's birthday. Kezia, with the intention of winning her father's love, prepared a pincushion with a beautiful yellow silk cloth. For that, she needed scrap to fill it. She took some papers from father's room and tore them up to stuff them in the pincushion, but it was her father's important speech for the Port Authority. But poor Kezia was unaware and didn't seek permission before she tore them up into pieces. Later that night there was hue and cry in the house, for the father's important papers was lost. Everyone at the house was questioned. At last it was Kezia. When Kezia was asked about the papers, she innocently told that she tore them for the surprise. She was dragged down by her mother to face the wrath of her father. She was questioned by her father and she admitted her act and was asked to put to bed instantly by her grandmother. So now let's find out whether she was punished or forgiven by her father. Crying too much to explain, she lay in the shadowed room watching the evening light make a sad little pattern on the floor. Then father came into the room with a ruler in his hands. "I'm going to beat you for this," he said. "Oh, no, no," she screamed, hiding under the bedclothes. He pulled them aside. "Sit up," he ordered, "and hold out your hands. You must be taught once and for all not to touch what does not belong to you." "But it was for your birthday." Down came the ruler on her little pink palms. So as I said earlier, Kezia was so much terrified of her father. She lay in the shadowed room by watching the evening light, which made a sad pattern on the floor, and was crying too much and was confused how to explain her actions to her father. Then father entered her room with the ruler in his hands to punish her for deeds. Kezia screamed with fear, hid under the bedclothes. Her father pulled them aside and ordered her to sit up and asked her to hold her hands out. He wanted to teach her a lesson that she should not touch things what does not belong to her. Kezia tried to explain that she did it for his birthday, but he didn't listen. She was beaten by her father in her little pink palms. Hours later, when grandmother had wrapped her in a shawl and rocked her in the rocking chair, the child clung to her soft body. "What did God make fathers for?" she sobbed. "Here is a clean hanky, darling. Blow your nose. Go to sleep, pet. You will forget all about it in the morning. I tried to explain to father, but he was too upset to listen tonight." But the child never forgot. The next time she saw him, she quickly put both hands behind her back and a red color flew into her cheeks. So hours later, her grandmother had wrapped Kezia in a shawl and rocked her in the rocking chair, and Kezia clung to her soft body. So here the grandmother is trying to console Kezia, who is sad and sobbing, and also rocking the chair to put her to sleep. Kezia was wondering why God make fathers for her father was very strict and so rude to her and not a loving father. Grandmother again tried to calm down Kezia, asks her to go to sleep and she will eventually forget everything in the next morning, but when she wakes up. Even she tried to explain to his son but was too upset to listen to his mother. But Kezia will never forget. Next time when she saw his father, to avoid getting beatings, she quickly put both her hands behind her back and she would get a slap in her cheeks. So it is evident that she will be punished for her mistakes again. The McDonalds lived next door. They had 5 children. Looking through a gap in the fence, the little girl saw them playing tag in the evening. The father with the baby Mao on his shoulders, 2 little girls hanging onto his coat pockets, ran round around the flower beds, shaking with laughter. Once she saw the boys turn the horse onto him. He tried to catch them laughing all the time. Then it was she decided they were different sorts of fathers. Suddenly one day mother became ill and she and grandmother went to hospital. The little girl was left alone in the house with Alice the cook. That was all right in the daytime. But when Alice was putting her to bed, she grew suddenly afraid. "What I'll do if I have a nightmare?" she asked. "I often have nightmares and then Granny takes me into her bed. I can't stay in the dark, it all get whispery." "You just go to sleep, child," said Alice, pulling off her socks, "and don't you scream and wake your papa." But the same old nightmare came, the butcher with a knife and a rope, who came nearer and nearer, smiling that dreadful smile, while she could not move, but only could stand, crying out, "Grandma, Grandma!" She woke, shivering, to see her father beside her bed, a candle in his hand. "What's the matter?" he said. So the next door neighbor, Mr. McDonald's, play with his children in the evening, and after watching him, Kezia concludes that all fathers are not like hers. One day, her mother got admitted to the hospital, and since her grandmother went along with Kezia's mother, she was left out alone at home under the care of Alice and the cook. And Kezia feels okay throughout the day, but at night she was terrified of the nightmare that haunts her often. Kezia was also afraid of the dark. That night, the same old nightmare haunted Kezia again. A butcher with a knife in his hand. She gave a loud cry and woke up shivering to see her father beside a bed. "Oh, a butcher! A knife! I want Granny!" He blew out the candle, bent down and caught up the child in his arms, carrying her along the passage to the big bedroom. A newspaper was on the bed. He put away the paper, then carefully tucked up the child. He lay down beside her, half asleep still with the butcher's smile all about her it seemed. She crept close to him, snuggled her head under his arm. He held tightly to his shirt. Then the dark did not matter. She lay still. "Here, rub your feet against my legs and get them warm," said father. So Kezia tried to explain her dream to her father, and he understood her state of mind, and he lifted her and took her to his own bedroom to comfort her. She lay beside her father and held on to his shirt tight. She was also allowed to warm her feet by rubbing them against her father's legs. Kezia felt her father's love for the first time. Tired out, he slept before the little girl. A funny feeling came over her. Poor father, not so big. After all, and with no one to look after him, he was harder than grandmother. But it was a nice hardness. And every day he had to work and was too tired to be Mr. McDonald. He had torn up all his beautiful writing. She stood suddenly and sighed. "What's the matter?" and asked her father. "Another dream?" "Oh," said the little girl, "my head's on your heart. I can hear it going. What a big heart you've got, father dear." So he was tired and fell asleep before her. Kezia was lost in her thoughts. She thought that he had to work very hard every day, and then he was too tired to play with her. So she thought it was her fault to tear up those important papers of her father's, and she realized that he was not so bad, but he was too busy to express his love. That night she felt her father had a big and loving heart. So now we'll move on to the message of the story. The story conveys a beautiful message that there should be a very strong bond between parents and children. This bond has the strength to survive every type of children. However, in order to prepare their little children for the hardships of adult life, parents resort to strict permission and punishments, and it is difficult for children to understand the true motive behind the stern actions of their parents. As a result, they develop negativity. Therefore, the story gives message to both the children and parents. Children should trust their parents. Children should trust the parents, and the parents should understand that physical punishment can leave emotional scars that hamper the growth of a balanced personality of the child. So the responsibility to strengthen the parent-child bond rests equal on both. In a family, interpersonal relationship between parents and the children, siblings and elders, and a natural atmosphere in the family are very important for a smooth and successful life. For a better relationship, The first and foremost factor is mutual interaction and regular communication among the members of the family, because through communication only we can understand each other's aspirations, expectations, desires, strength, and weakness in a better way. So these are some vocabularies from the lesson, and that's the end of the prose, The Little Girl by Catherine Mansfield. And thank you.